Hello and a very warm welcome to yet another edition of Let's Talk Polity. I'm Smita Sharma. I'm an independent journalist and a visiting faculty at Kautilya. And it's a subject that we thought, of course, will be of great interest to each of you, current public policy students as well as aspirants. I'm joined here on this edition by Pratik Kanwal, the co-founder for Kautilya, somebody who's also pursued his own public policy degree in Harvard Kennedy and is also a director at Deloitte. So we will, like always, encourage each of you who have joined into the room to please raise your hand if you have a question or put in a line or two in the chat box. And I will try and take in as many questions as possible from each of you. So it's not really about a conversation just between me and Pratik. And a quick reminder to people, the Kautilya School of Public Policy is currently in the process of applications for the Masters in Public Policy. So do look up the curriculum and the website if it's of interest to you. Pratik, very good evening. How are you doing?
Hi, good evening. Sorry, apologies once again. Couldn't join in on time because I had some network issues. But yeah,
but both
all
of us
good.
were in between traffic issues.
Yes,
You in
both of us
Chandigarh,
were
me
in
in
traffic
Delhi.
issues. Yes.
Maybe
But
the
I'm glad
public
we're here
policy
now.
aspirants can think about easing up these issues as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Pollution and traffic, two public policy problems which I am very closely pursuing, trying to solve. But yes, let's start.
Right. And I understand that we are live on LinkedIn and on YouTube as well on the Kautilya YouTube station. So please feel free to drop in your questions. Our colleague Ranjita will help us, in fact, get your questions through. Pratik, before I get into really talking about the objectives, tell me first, as a young student yourself, how did you get attracted to public policy? How did you get to know about the Harvard course? And, what was really sort of the point that made you think that, no, this is what I want to do?
I think the seeds were pretty much sown when I joined the Teach for India Fellowship way back in 2011, right? And this was the time when Teach for India was pretty new. Today they've completed 15 years. But this was the beginning of Teach for India Fellowship. And, as a I had a job with Standard and Poor as a rating analyst at that point, right? So I switched from corporate career to social sector, and the fact of moving into the social sector. Am I audible, Sridhar?
Yes, you're
Hello?
audible. Please go ahead. I think your video may be
Hello?
freezing a bit, but you're audible. I can hear you, Pratik. Can you hear me? Hi, Pratik. Can you hear me? Okay. Ranjita, let me know if the issue is on Pratik's end or mine. Pratik, can you hear me?
I can't hear you. And now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe you received a call on your phone or something.
No, no, no,
Your
no, no,
video's
no.
gone.
Just a second. Just a second. Just let me just get back.
Apologies to
Yep.
the
Can you?
participants for the technical glitch. Yes, I can hear you. You're back on camera now.
Great, 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 perfect. So, yeah, so the idea of the Teach for India Fellowship motivated me to get into this. When I went into the communities, I realized that we were very detached from the real life, right? The real life existed when there are problems in the community, structure, the social cohesion, right? So when we saw all these problems, I was really awestruck by it, that the magnitude or the level of problem is so huge. And when I looked at who's trying to solve, we had only one layer of civil servants trying to solve for it. And if you go to a civil servant's office today, they have great intentions, they have great ideas, but the question is, for a population of say 10 to 15 lakh, there's one civil servant trying to solve for that, right? So I realize that there aren't enough hands and minds and hearts trying to solve for the kind of problems which are in front of us. So there started my journey. I, went on and explored more work with the government of Madhya Pradesh, Delhi, some work with the Aadhaar project, and then realized that okay, this is my calling. And I tell this to everybody. For though look at those MBA jobs and IT jobs, right? There are limited number of jobs and so many people trying to get into that sector. Here the problems are unlimited and limited people are trying to sort of enter, right? So forget about anything else. Look at the market size of the problem, right? Let's look at the education. 300 million children have to go through their education journey. Now, if I tell this market size to any venture capitalist, they'll say, let's invest in this, right? But why are we not investing in education? Look at the healthcare. 1.4 billion Indians need healthcare in this country, right? Look at the market size, right? Again, let me tell you to, infrastructure. The amount of roads we can lay in a year. Just take a guess. How many, roads can we lay? Even if we lay 5,000 kilometers of fresh highways in this country, still it will take us at least 25 years to be where we want to be in this country. So look at the abnormality of this, problem, the country, the population, and look at the problems, right? Throw a stone in any direction. You can do this experiment after this session, right? Throw a stone in any direction and you'll find a public policy problem. You'll find a garbage dump. You will find a drain which is overflowing. You will find forests being cut and the climate issue. Forget about anything else. In the room, go check your AQI levels. You will find a public policy problem, right? So the problems are all around you, and there are very limited minds trying to solve for this problem. So that is why I got attracted. Obviously, I went to the Kennedy School in the United States, which is the inspirations behind setting up Kautilya School of Public Policy, and realized very quickly that the problems exist in the West, in the East, across the globe, but there are just more people who are there trying to solve for these problems. Here, we don't have that kind of a cadre of private sector people trying to solve public policy problem. I'll stop here.
Right. And I'm glad that you did go to Kennedy and, you found that inspiration to
Hello?
sow the seeds for Kautilya School of Public Policy. Let me remind all the people who are in the room right now, feel free to drop in your questions into the chat box, or just raise your hand and I'll ask you to unmute so that you can ask the questions directly to Prateek. And Prateek, maybe some of the questions we can also, talk about in Hindi as well to encourage, in fact, a broader audience. So, before I talk about, again, the public policy segment in specific here, in terms of the Kennedy School, you go and learn public policy in an institute which is overseas. Does it really help you sort of delve into the frameworks for policy issues, which may be more localized or more specific to a country like India, which is very different from the United States in all aspects? So how do you then sort of, reflect into that kind of a thing?
Great question. Let me just ask you a simple question, right? What are the big challenges US is facing right now? Are they facing people on the roads right now? Yes, there are people on the roads. Is the crime rate high? Are there schools which are underfunded and some schools which get more funding in US? Yes. Do they have universal healthcare? Can they get an appointment in 1 week like we do in India? Right? No. Right? Is their public health system screwed up? Yes. Right? Are they anywhere close to growing at 8% in this world? No. Are they struggling with inflation? Yes. Right? So the contours of the problem may be different, the scale may be different, but anywhere in the world, if you look at, health is a challenge, education is a challenge, right? You go to Africa, you go to Europe, right? Tell me a place which is not talking about climate change right now, right? You may say that, oh, India is hot, they are a cold country, why are they worried about climate, right? They have clean air, right? But are there oceans which are not going to rise in the United States and only going to rise in India? Right? Are there tsunamis which can only affect India and not the United States? Right? They have tornadoes. They have the worst kind of wildfires right now going in Los Angeles and California right now. Right? Is that not a public policy problem? Right? So the scale and the population, may differ. Right? That the population, they may have more money, but public policy challenges also evolve as you grow as a society, right? So they may be at a higher platform in terms of the cost of the per capita income, but the challenges remain the same. And if you look at what they teach in a public policy school, they are not trying to teach you what type of a scale you should work at. They are trying to say, okay, this is what goes in terms of input, right? This is what you get in terms of output and outcomes. How do you measure them? How do you design pilots? How do you design a policy? How do you test it out? How do you refresh it, right? So they are not trying to say, okay, in the context of US, this is how our policy works. A policy works on a framework, on a principle. Now, if you, a machine can make 100 things also, a 10,000 also, one, but the codification of that machine is what they're trying to teach, right? Once the code is being learned, you can manufacture as much scale as you want out of that, right? So that
Right.
in a nutshell is why we are saying in Kautilya also we marry the best of the global frameworks with the Indian philosophy, right? So Indian
Mhm.
philosophy is not being taken away, right? The global frameworks need to be grounded in Indian philosophy. When you marry the two is when you get absolute understanding of public policy.
Okay, I'm already getting questions in the chat box. I'll start taking them. And if anybody of you wants to ask it directly, please use that raise your hand emoticon and I will come to you. But before starting this, Prateek, just to very quickly, because I know this is the question that is on everybody's mind. What exactly is public policy? And I keep reminding students in class too, that don't forget the public in the policy, but the confusion, whether it's PR, whether it's corporate communications, what exactly is public
let let
policy? Is
let
it
me give you a
lobbying?
very let me give you a very simple you know uh, you know a line to describe public policy, right? Solving people's problems, making their lives better is public policy, right? At the core, ideally at the core of politics is making people's life better, right? Making them feel elevated, making them feel worthy of being a proud citizen of this country, right? Policy is just taking that into practice and actually delivering on the ground, is actually delivering on the promises our politicians make, right? For example, let me give you a Ladli Bahan Yojana is a policy, right? It is trying to solve for the aspiration of the women in Maharashtra who have no money in their pockets, right? So it is a policy trying to solve for the aspirational problem of certain masses, right? Now you may debate whether the policy is right or wrong, right? The jury can be out, right? But is it trying to solve certain people's aspirations? Are they using that to vote on account of that? Yes, right? So, but at the heart of public policy is, are you solving for a problem, right? So you got to first identify the problem and frame a policy around that, right? Now it can be in any sector, right? You can look at communications for public policy. It's a branch of public policy wherein you are trying to synthesize that policy, take it to the masses and explain to them the benefits of it, right? Campaign management, right, is part of public policy. It is actually using that policy, communicating the benefits of that policy so that the politician who has to make that policy gets elected in the first place, right? Let's look at economics. It's a branch of public policy, right? Let's look at foreign affairs, trying to solve for the aspiration of India in the realm of the system, right? You're trying to solve for that problem. Can India get it? That's the problem being solved for by foreigners. Public policy,
Right.
a branch of public policy, right? Looking at
Pratik, I think we are losing your
right?
signal. Your audio seems to be glitchy right now. I can't still hear you. Are you able to hear me? Okay. It looks like we will have to ask Pratik. Yes, I think the audio is back.
Hello? Yeah, so sorry, I just
I still can't hear you, Pratik. I'm
but
afraid. Okay. Let me try and take in some questions while Pratik, in fact, is trying to reconnect. Now, somebody is asking, how is public policy helpful for UPSC aspirants? Look, I mean, these are two different courses in the sense that, of course, if you're in Kautilya, what you get is a master's in public policy, which is in NPP, and Kautilya is affiliated to Geetam University. If you are aspiring for UPSC for the civil services, I mean, at the end of the day, you want to be a part of the bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy is meant towards legislation. It's meant towards framing of, policies, as Pratik was mentioning, in trying to identify problems. This is the backbone and the structure that really helps governments and ministries when it comes to increasing their efficiency, looking at issues, looking at problems, and identifying frameworks that can be used to, of course, move forward in helping with this, in resolving these problems. So the nature of it would be similar, but if you are looking for a course in public policy, I mean, there's always that age factor. You have to come in. Let's make it very clear. This is not something that you are doing particularly in an NGO. Whether you may be from a private sphere, you may be working with private companies, you may be private stakeholders that are working alongside the government, alongside the bureaucrats, and looking at solutions when it comes to the larger issues that affect the public, whether it's climate change, whether it's EVs, whether it's transportation, or any sort of. So it could be in different verticals, in different ministries. Sanzi Singh has a question where she's saying, I'm attending this session out of curiosity. I want to know what is taught here and how much choice do we have. This will give me an idea whether I can put my sister to this path or not. Sansi, I think your sister must look up, in fact, the brochure and the website itself to find the details. The institute, as far as Kautilya is concerned, is led by Ambassador Saeed Akbaruddin, who was the former Indian ambassador to the United Nations and a spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, a career diplomat. The students here, apart from their mains, also get an exposure to large number of electives over a period of 2 years during this master's course. And several top names from industries, serving, retired, they do come in, and there are a lot of electives the students can sign up for, whether it's media communication, whether it's about nuclear disarmament, whether it's about foreign policy. So it's a wide basket that the students really get to choose from. Let me also try and ask Ranjita if Pratik is able to log back in here. Ranjita, if you're there with us.
Yeah, I am just trying to connect with Mr. Kanwal. Yeah, he's there.
I can see Chinmay Sattaru. Can we take this course from science branches? Of course. There are a lot of students who come to pursue MPP, in fact, who also have a work experience, who are not just fresh graduates. We have students here who come from engineering backgrounds or computer sciences background, but have chosen because it is really about the application of your expertise towards identifiable problems and resolving them, finding the frameworks for their solution. Pratik, are you back into the room?
Yes, I am back. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can't see you though. But
can you see me also now?
Yes. Okay.
Perfect.
I mean, the chat box is buzzing now. Let's start taking the questions.
Great. Let's go ahead.
There is Sanzi who was trying to ask as to, give me an idea. I think she wants to inquire about her sister as to what the course in Kautilya has to offer. Somebody else is asking if there are scholarship provisions and is executive courses also available. Want to start with them?
Great. So I'll describe the course first. The course is all about making you understand how the public policy sector operates and what are the career options available in that, in terms of various things like foreign affairs, economics, working with the social sector, working with consulting, right? So if you are interested in working for the public good, right, in terms of any field, right, like I named, right, you can be a social impact consultant like I am, right? You can be a campaign manager, you can be an economist, you can work with non-profits, right? You can work with multilateral organizations if you choose to study foreign policy and international development. So if you're interested in basically all of these fields, right, the course allows you to understand the frameworks, put that to practice, and ensure that you have the right skill set, mindset, knowledge, and networks to be in these fields. So this is what the course is all about. Coming to the question of scholarships, 40% of our revenue is reserved for scholarships, right? So if you are interested and if you have the need and the merit, based on your merit and need, the scholarship will be offered. It is not a guarantee, but if you have the merit and the means, you will be getting some scholarship, right? So that's the question of scholarship. Executive education, we've not started it yet. It is in the offering. You will see that in the future in the next 6 to 8 months. But as of now, we only run Masters in Public Policy program.
Okay, I hope that also answers, Akib, your question, because you said you're passionate about working in ministries and Parliament of India and wish to pursue a public policy course. Shubham wants to ask Pratik that uncertainties are there related to job perspectives in public policy, because most of the government officials, the government jobs they hardly have vacancies. So how do you see public policy aspirants fitting into government job ministries?
Great question. Great question. You know, my understanding of this is, very different, right? I'll challenge this notion by giving you some stats, right? The number of engineers getting jobs as fresh graduates, right, is on the decline. So that's a big challenge as well, right? Now, with the AI coming in, tech jobs are going to go down, right? Now, what happens? Where are the new jobs going to get created? New jobs are going to get created in finding such challenges, what I described, right? Now, a climate change, right, is somewhere the jobs are going to be. Campaign management, right? Communication for public policy, right? A civil servant today is unable to communicate with so many people. Government is unable to communicate with so many people, right? So they need communication experts in public policy, right? International development. India is today being looked at the by the world. Everybody wants to engage with our 1.4 billion population. Now, who are the intermediaries going to be? Intermediaries are going to be you, who are going to be studying public policy in the foreign affairs context, right? So what I'm trying to say is it's a new segment. The jobs for it is going to come only when they see the supply side. Right now, the supply side is also not there. 5 years back, if you'd ask me how many public policy schools are there, zero. In the last 5 years, whatever has come up, right? So it's a growing field. It is not as well defined as a tech job. Oh, do this and you get a tech job. Even the MBA jobs are today struggling. I don't know how many of you read the article. Harvard Business School struggles to place its students, right? So don't look at current context as what is available in the job market as well. If you're applying today, you're going to graduate after 2.5 years, right? The world will be a very different place 2.5 years from now, right? There'll be more money to solve public policy problems, right? Government will be there, private sector will be there. So you are betting on something which is the future of jobs, not at the present context. And who says there are not jobs, right? You can check our placement report. We've been placing people for the last 2 years. So if you want to look at our placement report, you need to go to the Kautilya's website and you can check out the placement report of Kautilya, of where the jobs are, how much is the package. You can talk to our alumni who are already in the market and understand for yourself. Now, if you may ask, are the jobs going to be 1 crore, right? Now, are you worth 1 crore? If you are, you will get a job worth 1 crore. So the jobs are going to be high paying if you come in with a lot of work ex. If you are a fresher, you will be given a fresher salary, right? And many people know what is the fresher salary for Infosys, 3.6 lakh, right? Now, freshers choose to take that salary. In this case, in public policy, if the fresher salary is 8 to 10 lakh, you're going to get an 8 to 10 lakh, but you don't have experience, right? If you are experienced person, you can get a job upwards of what your existing salary will be better than that, right? So you have to look at the quality of the job, right? Understand your current context and see what you can gain experience from this so that you are ready for future self, right? And go to LinkedIn, search for public policy job. You will see how many jobs are available. Just do that at the end of the day. Everybody has a LinkedIn account. Go there, search public policy jobs in India, and you will get the answers how many jobs exist, right? Question is, are you ready for it? Do you have the skill set? And that's why you need a degree. As simple as that.
Right. Ruchika Dutt is asking for 4-year undergraduate program students. Is there an option for 1-year masters? I don't think we have that. We have a 2 years.
Not at present. Not at present. We don't have. We have to do a full 2 years. NEP is yet to be sort of fully implemented across the country. But yes, that option doesn't exist as of now.
Right. And Sanzi, I have noted that you're a he, not a she. My apologies for that. Akib, I know you're writing that you have been trying for fellowships in the policy governance sphere for more than 6 months now. There are other areas also other than Kautilya. There are different forums, like, for instance, Citizens for Public Leadership is another forum which Prateek has been involved with and running for the past many years now. Prateek, do you want to tell them as to, how maybe they can go in for smaller fellowships somewhere and then look at a longer career in public policy?
So now the thing is, see, Teach for India is a very good option, right? It's a great fellowship. and if you're given your 2 years, you're going to be phenomenally better than who you are right now. And I can personally vouch for it, being a Teach for India fellow. So that's one option. Gandhi Fellowship is there, right? There is CPL Fellowship, which gives 1 year of training to people to get into public policy. Then you can get into, the state fellowships, right? The options are abundant today, right? Again, if you're unable to find a match, try to first see what skills are required to do those things and see if you have those skills, right? If there's a skill set mismatch, then you will not get that, right? But do consider Teach for India Fellowship if you want. I know they're recruiting right now for their next cohort. So, the policies are there. The fellowships are there. You just have to find what is the right match of skill set for you in that sense.
Shreya Singh, Sanzi, again, a lot of questions about the commercial viability of this course. Where in the website can they find more details about the course fee structures? Prateek and Ranjita. Ranjita, maybe if you could put out a link on the chat
Yeah,
box.
Ranjita, just put the link on the course fees and the scholarships, please, on the chat. Thank you.
Please share it on the chat box and you can look, because I think they're trying to look up the website and unable to find. So there's an interesting question here from somebody who's anonymous, Prateek, who's asking that the professionals can draft the policies, but how do we get it implemented at the ministries?
Great question. I think the only way to get them implemented is through the civil society and media and judiciary, right? These are the three levers of democracy which are allowed to you. So either you make your voice heard, write letters, get things done, right? You congregate as a group, special interest group. In US also they exist, right? And you advocate for that change, right? So if the road is not getting built outside the house, it is on you. You go and chase them. They will build it, right? So democracy works on external pressures, right? The most healthy democracies are the ones where people participate and actually, the media works, the judiciary works, the civil society works, and the people have an active participation. Unfortunately, what is happening is we are becoming a sort of only a vote giving democracy, right? We don't question for next 5 years of what is happening, right? The more you question, the more policies get streamlined, the more they will hire professionals, right? So globally, more professionals assist civil servants. There are civil servants in every country, right, who come through the civil servant cadre, right? But they hire experts, professionals. They hire data collection agencies to stay on top of delivery. So I think we are not far off. Now the pressure on every government is to deliver, right? So they will have to move towards delivery. But the only form of delivery is to have citizen participation, citizen voice, right? So you need to got to build that.
Okay, Suraj Tiwari has a question that what are the domains that one can get opportunities in when it comes to public policy? Maybe you can give a little bit more information about the sectors that you're looking at for careers moving forward. Also, do discuss the role companies are coming in for, what kind of roles are they looking for, what employability options are there for people with huge gaps in their resume due to UPSC attempts.
Yeah, so I think unfortunate reality is a lot of people have UPSC for 3-4 years of experience, but they don't have nothing to show off for, right? And that's where sort of a degree gives them a sort of a gap solution, right? It allows you. I'm not saying you will start off at a manager level. You will still start off at an analyst or a consultant level, but at least that skill gap, that's the only way to bridge, because without that you just have knowledge but no skills, right? So I'm sure you studied a lot, you've gotten knowledge, right? But where are the skills, right? Have you tested it out in internships? Have you got some recommendations to back you? Have you studied from those professors who actually give you those skills, right? So that is something which you need a stamp and a proper skill course to go through, right? But let me come to what sort of jobs are available. So let's look at first consulting, right? You can become an analyst or a consultant based on the degree. Master students are generally hired at a consultant level. So a lot of social impact consulting firms exist, right? All the big fours, the Satvas, the Dalbergs, the Britspans, the BCGs, have social impact divisions, right? Similarly, for communications and PR companies, there's a public policy division, right? Every company is looking to hire. So one of our students works with this company called Ather and looks at their public advocacy, right? Her job is to ensure that whatever government policies come in, right, is adequately complied to, and the representation is made adequately at the central and the state ministry level, right? So that's one kind of job. When you work in communications, PR, and advocacy, right, that's another kind of job, right? So then the job comes in foreign affairs. There are a lot of foreign affairs think tanks in India. You can work with them, the ORF, right? The strategy groups which exist in Bombay, and related to the then there are these international foundations like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Michael Suzalden Foundation, Clinton Health Initiatives, right? So these are again the international foundations. Then there are large non-profits like Pratham, Educate Girls, Teach for India, who are looking to hire people for their program roles, right? And then your jobs exist in the field of say campaign management. Every year there's an election. If there's one election, one nation, one election, more people will be required because so many elections have to be managed simultaneously, right? So you're looking at campaign management as a career wherein you're running campaigns for political parties, being part of those teams, right? Prashant Kishore is a great example who opened up this field in 2014 by professionalizing the sector again. So these are the sort of jobs which exist in that field. So this is a
I
sort of
think
a
Pratik,
broad
I
array.
think a lot of the people here in the room today do have questions, because I can see the direction of these questions. Somebody asking about what kind of daily activities is the institute offering. Somebody saying that the course fee seems too high. How will the marginalized communities come in if there is indeed such a large source of problem? And in fact, there is someone who's also asking that, who's currently working with Regional Rural Bank. It's Vidyadhar Pitambare as a scale 2 manager. So what kind of scope I will get after completing the course? So I think a lot of people would want to know that how competitive perhaps is the Kautilya course fees compared to, say, for instance, others. If it's perceived as
So
high,
I
what's
can't speak
behind
for
it?
others, but I can give
Yeah.
you one great instance, right? This is the only school which offers 40% of its revenue as scholarship for people with need, right? I'm again stressing we're the only school where if you're from a marginalized community, you get that bump up to ensure that you meet that minimum criteria. We're the only school where if you don't have the means, we still have given people 100% tuition fees as well, right? Question is, can you convince us that you're the right candidate, right? The onus cannot be on the institute only. The onus has to be on the student to say, here I am the most meritorious student possible, I don't have the means. If you are that kind of person, happy to apply. But you have got to understand, if we have to get professors from Stanford and Harvard, which we get, right? If we have to get the kind of people who you see, just go on the website and just go on our LinkedIn and see in the last 3 months what are the kind of people who've come in, right? Who are the people who are teaching at Kautilya? If you have to bring them, you got to pay for them. It's a market, right? I'm not saying ISB, if ISB is today charging what it is charging, it is also bringing in that kind of people to teach you and get the jobs they want to, right? If they are working, you're going to an Ashoka, you are paying what you are paying. If you are going to a Jindal or a Flame, you are paying what you're paying. But there excellent education also being offered, right? Similar thing. If you are paying or even getting a scholarship, whatever you are giving to the institute is being put into better your chances of succeeding in sector of public policy, right?
Right.
But
Including, of course, the
understand,
accommodation, to the campus facilities,
including
to daily
accommodation,
activities.
campus. And I encourage you, get in touch with Ranjita, come and see the campus. First, see the kind of investment being made in you. Attend a few classes. Engage with the kind of infrastructure which is provided to you. And then tell what is the ROI. The ROI cannot be just measured by the end letter which you get in terms of CTC. It is in terms of the networks you make. It is in terms of the knowledge, skills you gain, right? In 2 years' time, that is what your immediate job may not be gratifying to you. But the job which you do for your career in 5 years or 10 years, when you become a subject matter expert, that is when the real value of education comes out. So
Right.
you've got to look at it in holistic way, not just one figure.
I can also tell the students here, because I have been associated with the institute for the past 3 years, doing communications, media communication workshops, also an elective on new media and policy governance with my 22 years of experience in journalism, still an active journalist. What interests me in Kautilya is the fact that the class composition is not just elite cities. ये सिर्फ tier 1 cities से नहीं है, ये सिर्फ elite background के बच्चे नहीं हैं. आपको बहुत सारे ऐसे बच्चे मिलेंगे जो एक्चुअली बहुत दूर दराज के इलाकों से आ रहे हैं, जो ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों से आ रहे हैं, या कुछ ऐसे बच्चे भी हैं, कुछ ऐसे स्टूडेंट्स भी हैं जिन्होंने ग्रेजुएशन, पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन के बाद में काफी 4-5 साल तक नौकरी की है और उसके बाद अपने करियर को नया पॉलिसी डायरेक्शन देना चाह रहे हैं, तो इससे जो है आकर वो एक्सपेरिमेंट कर रहे हैं। तो इन चीजों को आप देखें, ऑब्वियसली इट हैज टू बी योर चॉइस। There's an interesting comment here, Pratik, from Saurav Prakash, who says that there are milestone mandates like the RTE Act and the RPW Act, as well as service portals like Swavalamban, which aim to streamline the certification process for persons with disabilities. But field level implementation often remains only on paper. When some CSOs step in to support implementation, there is visible progress. Once they leave, the process is rarely sustained. So it can be quite discouraging at times. How does Cortelia, in fact, help learners acquire relevant skills and strategies like these?
So I think one thing which we urge them during the course is to work on a project, right, which is their independent project, wherein we give them an access. It is their year-end project which they have to complete. Everybody has to go through a mandatory project. This is where we urge them to go and check out the reality of whatever frameworks you've learned. Come back, and this is exactly what people come back and try to tell us, right? That in the short run it is working, in the long run it is not, and then we all debate on what is to be done in the long run to make it work, right? How does community participation happen? How does the government has to own the project after the civil society has done it, right? How do you build capacity in the government to actually do that? So these are the discussion points then emerge. The solution lies in not just overnight change. Public policy is a slow burn. You got to understand. It is not, India is not going to change in our lifetimes, right? But we all have to make incremental progress. This is what the institute teaches you. How do you make incremental progress, and also then look at, once the incremental progress is institutionalized, how can it be scaled? Right? Until you make that incremental progress first, you cannot look at scale in the government. The government will tell you how to scale it, but you have to first say, okay, we've moved the needle from A to B. If we have these, parameters met, we can, go to the zenith point, right? So take it to the peak, right? So you got to first move it to the inch, right? Then you go to the mile. The institute will teach you how to first move the inch, and then how do you take it to the mile. But the point is, if you were expecting overnight ownership by the community, overnight capacity building, then we would have already been developed.
Right.
So the idea is to understand these problems, find solutions, and keep moving the needle.
Okay. Well, I'll just take the last two questions. Gokula Krishnan Balaji is asking, because he's a first-year TFI fellow in Chennai, if Cortelia offers any research internship that they can apply for. Mr. Ramakant Desai says he has 38 years of experience on tech and policy.
So we
would
do
like
have
to get
internships.
Associated.
Yeah, so we do have internships. We do have RA options open. It's full time, so you have to dedicate that time. It cannot be part time. You can go to our website, search for the jobs on our website, apply to them. We have a lot of RAs and TAs working for us, so you can be part of the team. And the idea is, I think, let me tell you, everybody on this thing today, doing a degree is not what matters. Doing a degree which allows you to express yourself matters, right? And this is the degree which allows you to express yourself. And I again urge you, get in touch with Ranjita, whose email ID is here. Come to the campus. Don't buy my word. Don't take my word, right? Everybody can lie. Then you say, what is the difference between Pratik and a politician, right? I am telling you, go feel the difference. Go check out the campus. Go check out the hostel. Go have a meal in our cafe. Go meet our faculty. Go meet our students. Go meet our alumni, right? Our problem with today's generation is they don't want to do any research, right? Go to the website, go to the LinkedIn, and see what is happening in Kautilya.
Okay, let's not feel very old about ourselves, Pratik, and let's not generalize Gen Z. I think they have enough, in fact, direction and clarity.
It's not Gen Z, it's anybody today, because the information is so quick. Even I make that mistake. Information is so quickly used. Yes. Earlier, campus visits used to be a norm, right? Even in any university, people used to go. But today, we see dwindling interest in campus visits, is what I'm trying to say, right? So I urge everybody, don't buy my word. Come to the campus, meet Smita. Sometimes she's also there, right?
Yes,
I'm also
I'll be there.
So
I'll be there, in fact, in February and March, teaching my course.
Yes, and why don't you tell them about the media center, which you actually have been seeing it from the day one? Why is media so important in communication? Let me ask you a question.
No, it is. I think if you're talking about policy making, be it in any sector, and when you talk about public policy, where what is at the center of it, at the heart of it, is ensuring that once the solution frameworks are delivered upon, are implemented, that the benefits actually reach the people. So you cannot have policy making happening in ivory towers and castles, and which is completely sort of divergent from what really are the issues for the public. And that's where the role of media communication becomes very important. So the elective that I offer, we do a dive into journalism, how newsrooms in India work. We look at how to actually make a policy paper, how to go out there and be able to do a field research, which is a very important part of being a policy aspirant, how to break down data, how does data journalism weave into policy making, and then being able to write an executive summary to a policy paper, looking at solutions, being able to articulate your thoughts better. Kautilya has a fantastic, in fact, a television studio setup. It has a conference room, a lot of facilities. We have a very active podcast club. Our students have been interviewing some really interesting minds when it comes to their podcast club. So some of you who are saying that you would like to have post sessions, maybe one-on-one discussions, Ranjita's email ID is in the chat box. It's ranjweta@kautilya. Do follow it up with her, write to her. What are you looking for? We also have a lot of alumni sessions that happen where alumni come and share their experiences. You also have active students who do Q&As regularly online. So look out, sign up for the newsletter. You'll get to know about all the details, whether it's the fee structure you want to know. Please reach out to Ranjita. She's heading the admissions team, and I'm sure she will be more than willing to answer your question. As Prateek said, you're welcome to come into the Kautilya campus in Hyderabad. So Kautilya, I think we are going to end the conversation here because we've already run out of time. But Prateek, this has been fun. And what is the project that you are working on currently? What problem are you solving?
I am trying to sort of solve for the early childhood problem in the government in terms of how do you sort of look at early childhood Anganwadi centers and try to reform them, because that's where the 0 to 6 get their first shot at learning, nutrition, etc. So how do you sort of make them more modernized? How do you build them into places which our students can cherish and learn from? So that's the problem I'm working at.
Okay. Thank you so much to all who tuned in large numbers with your questions, with your, I hope that we can address all the questions that you have put forward, and please continue to engage with us. The second round of admissions are now on in Kautilya for the MPP batch of 2025-2027. We hope to welcome some of you who are there in the chat box today into our campus and institute moving forward. But more about public policy as an initiative, we will continue having conversations from people who are really into policy making in our Let's Talk Policy sessions. You can look up the past episodes too and stay with us. Thank you so much and take care.
Sign off. Bye-bye.